All right. Sorry for the brief delay. I got things under control. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this Saturday. I'm sure many of you have better things to do, or you don't. If you did, you'd be doing them. So tonight's slate of guest photos is going to be some that my friend went to take out at the Frazier Maintenance Complex as part of SEPTA. For those of you who didn't read the description, Frazier is located between Paoli and Thorndale, or the old Glen interlocking at milepost about 24, Paoli being at around 21 or so. Frazier, when you for anyone who knows the history of the Philly suburban stuff, the old terminus of the Paoli, the R5, the main line, was the old Paoli Shops and MU complex at Paoli. There's a tower there. There's an interlocking, the big interlocking, big shops, and it was put together in about 1915 as part of their AC electrification system. Many years later, it had contaminated the better part of the county with PCBs, and they pretty much had to do something about it. And the do something about it was twofold: moving the shops to Overbrook. This is in 1994. That disrupted the track 4 alignment, got mainline trains off the valley flyover. The other thing that they did was, and this was sort of before it, but it was part of this 1994 thing. You can sort of see it here in this 1992 diagram where it says Frazier Maintenance Facility, but there's no Frazier interlocking. Frazier interlocking be this panel controlled from Thorn. This went in, and then again around 1994 with the whole thing that involved Bryn Mawr catching fire, Overbrook being built, and Frazier was the third thing that sort of went in at that time. And Frazier allowed SEPTA to move the terminal of the R5, one of them, from Paoli, where you had the yard and the duck unders and everything that will let you support the termination of the service, to Frazier. Now, it's R5 Malvern because there's no Frazier station. Trains stop at Malvern there, or there, but effectively they a little past Paoli. Anything that so if it doesn't continue on to Thorndale or wherever, it's gonna pull in at Frazier. And you have storage tracks, and you have this pocket track, so a train can pull into the storage or the yard lead, and then to reverse, it'll come out into this pocket and sit there until the line's clear. Then it comes out on the main line. These are all still Rule 251, although not anymore. They have been changed to, there's a little bit of sort of pseudo 562 going on in here now. That's brand new. Only between Paoli and Frazier, but didn't really change anything. So just wanted to know what the situation is. A lot of context here. So one of the reason the Frazier Maintenance Facility started in 1990 because SEPTA went in with Bombardier push-pull sets. These are Comet coaches. They bought AEM 7s and one AELP 44 and a whole bunch of bomber coaches. Their entire maintenance regime was set up to maintain these at Wayne Electric or Paoli, which then got moved to Overbrook. But this is before Overbrook happened. So along with those coaches, they got a brand new maintenance facility that was dedicated to maintaining these coaches. So it's Bombardier bought the designs from Pullman. They built this facility, and it eventually morphed into the terminal yard for the R5 mainline Paoli service. Here in these Google overheads, you can see the new ASC 86s there, SEPTA Silverliner MUs, and then quite a few of the push-pull train sets. This is where they're maintained, so they might all just show up here on a weekend anyway. SEPTA also got a ton. They went from having 8 push-pull engines to, I think, 13 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they at least have 11. So that's beside the point. You have this sort of very invisible to the railfan community yard out here. It's covered in trees. There's no way you can get any pictures of it. It's surrounded in forest, and the only way is to sort of hike in from the stuff. But my friend works for the railroad, so he was able to get in there. And the special thing I'm still working up here is that you have this Bombardier facility, and although there are special Acela train set maintenance facilities in both Washington, D.C. and now Boston, some of the work would be carried out at Frazier. It's a Bombardier facility. They could do things. I don't know what they are. Some set of things. The Acela sets are leased, so that means as part of the leasing agreement, the Acela sets are maintained under this leasing agreement. So anyway, he just went out on a lark because he knew that one of the sets was out there, along with the NJT Arrow IIs that SEPTA had just purchased for their wire train. And he just went out on a July 24th, 2005, just to get some of these pictures. So I just want to see how... I think the aspect... Okay, so these were taken by his DSLR. So let me just get into this here. So here we have the Acela set sitting on what SEPTA would call it's Amtrak out there, calls the storage track. So you have this yard lead and you have this storage track that occasionally has maintenance away, but can also be used to store turning train sets. Note that when they re-put in this Frazier, that it was, they sort of, these are the original cat poles, but they cladded them with extras. So it's the original rusty, and they put on like new cladding, which then would hold all the hangers and such for the extra, the wire for the new tracks and whatnot. So just sort of interesting they did that. Oops, what am I doing? It's 2038. 2038. Now, Frazier in this case is spelled with no I, just so people are aware. Frazer. All right, this looks good. All right. And here we have another angle. Note the front is up to expose the AAR coupler. The new Acelas are fitted with European-style Snapperberg couplers because there's no good reason. Those sets are too long to ever couple together. So every time that coupler is going to be used, it will have to be used with a compromise coupler. Bad. They did not specify that right. I don't know what their deal with those things that they should have had AAR couplers in front. Those will never ever be coupled to another Snapperberg, the European Snapperberg coupler ever. I think they might as well just weld the compromises to them. The Acelas were properly ruggedized and Americanized. So we'll have to see what happens with the new sets. But I think that they're going from one set of these don't work very well to another set of these don't work very well. There we go. I don't know what 2038 was doing there. I don't know what it needed, but all I'm saying is that it's pretty crazy to see an Acela set. This happens. This happens. It's infrequent, but it's not ultra rare. But it happens during the day and it's unannounced. So I think in this case, having it sit here in this sort of more accessible location was uncommon, or not more so. And I'm just processing these down from full resolution to the stuff that'll work well on my blogs and whatnot. Here we have the front of 2038 with a SEPTA Silverliner 4MU sneaking out. This is well before the 5s were anywhere on the scene. I'm not even sure if the order had been placed yet for them. So that's Silverliner 4 number 179. And here's a wider part of that image. I think my friend's using a flash because the reflectors on the Acela are lit up. And here we have a nice wide view of the same system with SEPTA 179 over there. Just trying to arrange this. He works these towers, or worked them, doesn't work them anymore. So, you know, he knows when stuff's going to be running and not enough to not get hit. But there's like very few pictures ever taken out at Frazier. I just got back from New York City today, so that was fun as always. First time there in a while. I mean, I've been through it around Penn Station earlier in the year, but hadn't been doing a lot of New York stuff. Missed this last New York City season. I don't go up much, but I usually go once in the fall and then once for the whatchamacallit. So here we have the SEPTA. This train, as I suspected, was going into service. You can see all the way down here that it's going to pull into the pocket track and then diverge over that medium clear. Now these are all amber PLs too. This is right. At this point, Amtrak, even though they were putting colorized stuff on the main line, the Harrisburg line, they were still keeping all amber. That didn't quite hold up with Stiles and Paxson, so this is probably sometime after 1990. This is the 92 diagram, so it wasn't here in 1990. Last revised April 27th, 92. This probably went in sometime in late 92 or 93. So we can go, but fortunately I have the thing here, so that's going to be the middle track is signally designated 8, so that's going to be the 8E signal. The middle track is the only thing with a pocket. Everywhere else just has one signal, 4E, 4W, 1E, 1W, and the 2 8s are in the middle. So that's the only part where you're going to ever have to deal with. Like, any train that's going to see 2 signals is a train using that middle track. So how do I go about displaying this? Just keep it there because I want to show off that middle, that 8E signal. That gets it. That gets the point across. Hold on. A medium clear. All right, that captured everything. Fix typos. Yep. Oh, make it a little sharper. And here we have it pulling out to enter service at Malvern. So yeah, that's the story of why we have this weird Malvern. The Malvern is the terminus instead of Paoli or anything else. Well, maybe they'll put in a station at Frazier. I don't know. There's not a lot of infrastructure to support it. You know, so for everybody who love infill stations. That's going to be number 180. I don't know how often the pocket's used on a regular basis, but I assume pretty regularly. Just to stage trains there. He's got to turn the flash off, man. Just another angle of the Acela train set, or the power car. Number 2038. That's pretty high up there. For those of you who don't know, there are 20 train sets, 40 engines. A sufficient number of cars. I think there's one test car. I don't think there's any spares, and there have not been any accidents. Here we can see our second hero of the day, the NJT 1239 Arrow II. We get over there, get into that. That and a sister. So I'm going to wait before I launch into Arrow IIs. But this is the other end of the train set. And that power car, I think, is 2016. Amtrak never really tried to keep the train sets continuous. So there's a website that'll tell you what's currently on what. But some of them are matched, a few, but that was never their intent to keep that happening. So you're not going to see power car 2001 and 2002 or 2003 and 2004. They're all over the place. Sometimes it's close, sometimes it's far. A little bright there. Okay. And that's good. This is gonna be a full set today, so hopefully I can keep it moving along. But there's a lot of history here that I otherwise won't have much opportunity to get into. You can see with the barricade that SEPTA Arrow II is going to be there for a while. The Arrow II, SEPTA purchased a pair of Arrow IIs, one pair, to use for cab cars on its wire train. If you looked at them, they looked, from the if you just saw them, they'd be like, oh, there's a Silverliner 4. But no, they're Arrow IIs. You can tell the distinctive feature is that roof hump right there. So, fun fact: neither the Arrow IIs nor 3s nor 1s were fitted with dynamic brakes when delivered. The SEPTAs have that long roof head with the gray. That's just purely for vent. For whatever reason, NJT thought dynamic brakes were for losers. So I don't know why. Like, I have no idea what ailed them. Now, the Arrow 3s, which still exist, they never got the dynamic brake grids, but they used the because they got an early AC propulsion system. Hold on, how close is that one to the other one? Oh, okay, it's for those of you who don't know, almost all AC propulsion, IG, whatever they use for in the US, they don't need dynamic brake grids because all the dynamic brake power is fed into the HVAC. The HVAC provides about 1,000 kilowatts of power dump, and it's used all year round. If it's hot, it's going into heat. If it's cold, if it's cold, it's going into heat. If it's hot, it's going into AC. The ASC86s do not have resistance grids. The ALP46s do not have resistance grids. The AEM7s, when they got rebuilt to AC traction, kept their resistance grids, but they weren't needed. It's because an IGBT inverter power traction propulsion system can be run in both directions, can be run in both ways. So it's just a matter of internal reconfiguration, where the power is flowing to change from an AC input getting chopped into a whatever multivariable frequency for the motors, to that motor then coming out and then being directed into the inverter for the HEP, because there's a separate inverter package there to do the HEP. So they just channel the power into that inverter package, and then it powers the and that saves about 10 to 20% on the electric bill. So the Arrow 3s had no dynamic brakes until their 1992 rebuild. The Arrow 2s, so SEPTA, NJT has for a long time has an issue of, if they buy junk equipment or they not maintaining things and then getting someone else to pay for new toys. The Arrow 3s were the Arrow 2s, which were built about the same time as the Silverliner 4s. There's a specific order of what came out what. I believe it was Silverliner 4 singles and or Reading 4s, then the 2s, Arrow 2s, then the Pensy Silverliner 4s. Then years go by, in 78 you came out with the Arrow 3s. The Arrow 4s gave 20 years of service, and by the late 1990s, they were already looking to be, they were 20 years old. They could have gone more, but at that point, NJT was getting in the push-pulls, and they just figured they'd have to do a rebuild on them anyway, and they just didn't want to, they just couldn't be bothered. And they were chasing that one-seat ride, too. So they couldn't do they didn't have the auto tap changing transformer to do the Midtown Direct. So we're going to get some more Arrow 2 stuff here. There we go. SEPTA, I think, still has them both, but they've been renumbered like 610 and 611, and they're used on wire trains, jail trains. They're a cab car. And he said, when you see them, you'll just assume that it's easy to assume that they're a Silverliner 4, but they're not, because SEPTA didn't have any extra shells, and for whatever reason they didn't want to get a Camaro car or something. I'm not sure those are quite out of service yet. SEPTA was at this point was using old PA old Long Island Railroad Alco cab car things. It's 1236. Oh, okay, it's not 1239. It's 1236. I misread that. Are we doing okay? Yeah, it looks like we're doing okay. Hold on. I need to... What am I doing here? Changing that number. I'll be there with questions in just a second. Okay. Yeah, SEPTA tended to take all sorts of freebies in regards to late deliveries. It got two packages of late stuff. One of them was it got the ALP 44 for free. It got the whatchamacallit. It got the CBTC for the trolleys free. And that was because the at Market Frankfurt cars were delivered overweight. And it got some like new signaling system for free too. So yeah, I think it was N5 cars for that ALP 44. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking that the CBTC was the free signaling system that they got for the MFL cars being overweight. I thought it was the whole MFL signaling system they got for free. I think I've related that, but I'm probably wrong. So I'm just doing a couple quick bits here. Looks like these probably had their full, at this point, this probably had its full propulsion package still in it. Wouldn't have it now, and it would have been a Silverliner 4, almost a complete clone of a Silverliner 4 propulsion package. So nothing was really lost in losing it, except no dynamic brake. These were, fun fact, these were used for a time down in Maryland. There was an Amtrak semi-commuter train run down there, and a few of them were used in sort of a mark service. I think it was the Chesapeake. They used a bunch down there for a time. I guess NJT didn't know what to do with it even when they had them. There were 70 of these made. The Arrow IIIs was originally in about 200 or so. One's 2016 here. I wonder if I could figure out what that car number is on the 3214. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to get into some more Arrow II stuff, but I'm just... notice the... at the end of the Pennsylvania era, there were 3 tracks all the way from Paoli to Downingtown, Downs interlocking, then it became 4. At some point in the 80s, they went with 2 Rule 251 tracks. That's the 3rd track from Glen to Downs was, I think, for residual freight service, and eventually became what I call SEPTA's the back door into the yard. So even to this day, they've actually rebuilt that track recently. SEPTA trains that are originating at Thorndale can sneak out the back of the yard here, and then they'll go under the duck under there and into, well, the duck under is there, and then they'll go onto the track 2. And they can use that to deadhead out to Thorndale without getting in the way of anybody. And that's a bidirectional track too. I mean, it's track 2, and it is bidirectional. And that was down to like some really poor track condition for a while. It had like a 40-20 on it for the longest time. Then it was down to 10-15. But now I think that they're finally getting it back up to at least Class 3. I mean, it's going to be what it is, but it'll probably only still be rated for Class 3. Hold on, I think I saw some questions. All right, just the back end of 1236. It was nice that SEPTA, when they got it, they didn't just immediately rip the numbers off or whatever. And what was I going to go on about? Oh yeah. The Silverliner 4s are equivalent to the Arrow 2s. They were built interleaved. I recently discovered and tweeted about my friend. I have a friend who does a lot of the power systems and stuff. He has documentation, original documentation, like booklets from the GE's proposal for the Arrow 1 order. Now, they didn't win that one, but the Arrow 1s by Westinghouse were so bad that they basically won, everything that came after. And it actually goes into how the propulsion plant on the what I will call the Silverliner 2, 3, and 4, Arrow 2 and 3, and E60 probably propulsion package works. And it was really illuminating and fascinating because I'd never, I thought I knew, what the deal was, but it just goes to show, how even after years, people might not know the true story behind things. And the story is, and please stop me if I haven't explained this already. It basically had, when I say propulsion package, it was like what turns the overhead wire into something you can control for motors and whatnot. And most people had it's well known that the Silverliner, the 2s, 3s, 4s for the Silverliners and the Arrows, the Arrow 2s had made some use of ignitron tube. And they'd been converted to silicon rectifier at some point. And it was always confusing because some people would swear up and down that they were always silicon rectifier, and some people would say they started as mercury arc. And it turns out everybody was right or everybody was wrong. The power system used a combination of silicon rectifiers and mercury arc. The silicon rectifier is providing a base current, just like you'd cut in like the series parallel kind of thing. It would provide a base load, and then the variable current would be supplied by the mercury arc rectifiers, and they had electronics that would trigger them to do a phase angle control system. That means that as on an AC waveform, you can trigger something to you can trigger off of the part of the AC waveform that it is, the phase angle. If you can chop, so it's kind of like a thyristor chopper, just a little more complicated and definitely not solid state. So that's the neat part. It's a very clever design. And so your control electronics would trigger the mercury arc tubes to begin firing at a certain phase angle, and then that would be added to the voltage coming out of the other transformer taps, and that would give you a variable DC voltage for your traction motors. I explained it better when I had it down when I was tweeting about it a while ago. But yeah, it was just neat actually finding the original source material, and that explained how the propulsion package worked. And you can scale that up. That's probably the same thing that was on an E60 as well. I'm not sure if those ever used ignitron tubes, but and the same thing for the Arrow IIIs, just with silicon controlled rectifiers. Here we have the rear of the Arrow II. And this would have had a drawbar on it for the married pair, but that was changed to an AAR coupler for, when it was split. So it can still be towed around. And here we have the end of the storage track. And looking through, I see some original interior there. Let's see. Let's get inside and check this out. Not sure how original they are right now, but in 2005 there was definitely some original interior there. And I can remember the SEPTA ketchup and mustard scheme, but I really don't remember. And I've ever since I've been riding the Arrow IIIs, they were in that leather. But this, I think, is an original, has to be an original Arrow II interior. And it makes me wonder if the Arrow IIs, other questions come to mind. Were the Arrow IIs ever given the leather interior like the Comets and the Arrow IIIs? I don't know. I never got to ride an Arrow II, because they were confined to the Hoboken division. So that's definitely like a very 70s look, though. I'd say alert tech. Yeah, I mean, you can even alert technology connections, because orange is just a form of brown. And we got the brown wood paneling, and it's brown on orange, which is brown. So this is just the same angle there, but just a little less flash. Probably don't even need it, but whatever. Don't want to lose any detail. Oh, windows are starting to go missing. For anyone for anyone who doesn't, I mean, this has been generally resolved, but the Arrow 4s and all the Arrows, sorry, the Silverliner 4s and Arrow 3s, they were made by GE, and the shells were made by Avco, which was a aerospace manufacturer. Not Bud. Bud was not involved with these at all. But Bud was definitely setting the standard with fluted stainless steel. I don't get why you don't see why you don't see why all the stainless you see these days is not fluted. Easy way to get your strength up. And just have the other end of the coach past the doors. And looking rearward. Oops. These will be going up both on my... I'm not sure that things are immediately available on Google Photos unless I provide links. I mean, make them shareable, but... I don't think there's like an archive, like an index for those. But these will be going up on my Position Light hosted, or red over yellow hosted photo gallery. If anyone has, whatchamacallit, if anyone has image hosting that's like independent, I'm always looking for mirror space. I hate like asking for that, but I had a setup that was supposed to be lifetime and turned out to be less so, and I have no good ability to throw a host thing up. And the other problem with that is that if anything happens to me, I don't have a lot of personal backup to keep that going. So I'm eventually going to get all these things transferred, hopefully to a museum or NRHS site in the long term. Everyone who takes pictures and stuff, you got to make sure that you have a long-term plan. Even if you have your stuff up on Google, apparently 2 years of inactivity will result in the account being deactivated. So, it's good to have as many plans as you have. I did have one of the computing groups at a pretty major university was offering, had free lifetime web hosting, and they, that looks pretty durable. But the problem is that as technology changed, kids these days just don't know how to do system administration anymore, and the equipment just died and never came back. So. And the other problem is that I did have another mirror, but some jerk from China kept scraping my entire archive on a weekly basis and blew up the transfer. So that couldn't keep going. Here we have a great angle on the 1236 here, sort of sitting in the weeds. This is July. Right now it's really chilly out. It's really chilly for a May. NJT loved putting the strobes on. Amtrak did too. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it was if it was a short-lived FRA thing or what. But they did that. There we go. Make sure everything's working. Everything working? Okay. Backlit. friend has the flash. Come on, dude, you're flashing the plants. My first digital camera automatically turned on the flash, and it was, oh my god, that was so irritating. I got really good at and disabling it was like, took like 6 button presses. Because you had to cycle through every flash mode, and the last one was off. So I got very good at just doing that every time I turn the camera on. I should have some scans to be available of Metroliner operating manuals. That should be a neat one. Okay, so here we have just the Frazier yard. Here are your typical SEPTA sets. Note the authentic R5 colored banners in the windows. We have 143, a 300 series. I wonder if I have any other angles on these. Here we go. 313 and 423. Gotta write that down. And that other one is 143. Lots of 4s and 3s. And oh, we have another surprise thing here. This is before SEPTA went and removed all of the, so how do you tell the Reading cars were numbers were a bunch of the singles, I think all the singles, and numbers 101 to 188. Now a bunch of these numbers got mixed up when SEPTA had a weird PCB removal renaming thing. That's why you got stuff into the 4s. But the other way you can tell Reading versus PR units is that PR units have a pilot, and Reading units have a cow catcher. Talk about traditionalism. The Reading Silverliner 4s were delivered with a cow catcher. Now it's right in front of the wheels, you can't see it. SEPTA removed this shortly after and put pilots on them. But up until the 21st century, the SEPTA Silverliner, Reading Silverliner 4s had a cow catcher. 2553, okay. 2553. Is that what it said? Yes. Sorry for all the zooming. I'm about to have to sort of write out a giant file name here. So from right to left, we have 423, 143, 313, and 2553. Glad I noticed. I remember that cow catcher factoid. That one's wild. Oh man, they were on the Reading Silverliner 2s until they were retired. That was the last bit with the cow catchers, and they were on the blue liner that they used for the thing. So before this, the Arrow they were using blue liner as cabs, and they replaced them with the Arrow 2s. And the blue liner cab cars also had the cow. Of course, they'd also have the cow catchers. So here we have 101, which is the first Reading Silverliner 4 pair. Remember, they all came in different orders. It was like Reading singles, Arrow 2s, Reading pairs, Pensy pair. I forget the order. My friend knows it. But look, you can see it right there. Right there. There's the bar. You can see the slats of the cow catcher. And no pilot. See, there's pilot, bar pilot, bar pilot, bar pilot. So here we have SEPTA 101, 246, 313, 143, and 423. Let's see if anybody has any questions with that. No questions? Okay. I'm surprised many of you would even you can I don't have a vote, but I'd love to know in the chat how many of you knew about the cow catcher on the 4s. A few of these next photos come from Paoli interlocking. And then I have a few remaining ones that are just on the main line. So we're going to see a bunch of interesting things here too on these Paoli. These are taken a few days. These are not with the same set, but I'm grouping them into the same set. For whatever reason, this is when they were doing some track work. I think the concrete ties are going in. Or this guy was just starting to go express. Ooh, it's a mixed set, and it's in tow. Look at that. We got a Silverliner 2 in tow, dead in tow, behind 3 Silverliner 4s, led by number 409. Interesting thing to note here. Paoli, I was told this. The Paoli interlocking machine, this duck under track's gone. There used to be the yard was up there. Trains would pull out after service yard, and to enter service, they'd duck under, come up, and then chonk right there onto the local track. Now, if they had to go express, they'd do a station stop, cross here on the 29 switch, and then they go express. So this duck under with a 9 with a derail and a switch. I was told that on the Paoli Model 14, to reverse 5, you also and get a route here on the 6R, you also have to reverse the duck under. And as you can see here in the picture, and I'll show you in a second picture, the duck under 9 has been reversed, and you can see the derail is now whatever. Now I think that's not for the 5 switch. This is a quirk of the interlocking. This is not a weird thing protecting the 5. It's actually protecting the 9, but they couldn't make it conditional. They couldn't say if the 5's reverse. You couldn't say reverse the 5. It's not. It doesn't care how you're doing it. It just means that if the 5 is reversed, I think you also have to reverse the 9. And it's mainly because if you had trains coming out of the yard, they didn't want to have a mainline passenger train. This is a very rare American example of flank protection, which is very common in Europe, but we don't do it at all, except in very, very rudimentary cases on old interlocking machines. So he's coming across on 5 reverse. The number 11 switch is normal, and 9 derail is reverse. So let's clean this up, and I'll figure out how to write that. This is clearly, this picture is, I think, taken from Paoli Tower. Okay, Paoli. 9 derails reverse, or is it normal, or is it reverse? It is reverse. Derails derail in the normal position. 5 switches also reverse. 11 switch normal. The 8R. And then there's the 10RA is in frame 2. So that's the 8R. You see that guy is on a little stick dwarf. That's the 8R. And then the 10R is also there in the picture. Plus SEPTA 409. And that's everything in the photo. Backing things up a little bit. Again, you can see a lot of stuff here. 9 switch is reverse, along with the 8L, 11 switch normal, the hill track, That's gone now, but it used to be there. It ended like right there. Hill track, 13 switch, and then that 15 switch right there. So let's get rid of some of the brightness. Go away. Is it, what's up here? Is it unreliable? All right, we good? All right, sorry about that. Is it straight? Straight enough. Okay. Let's get this going. Sorry I'm being quiet. Just getting this stuff all done. Plus the 8L signal. Verify that that's there. 8L. Make sure it's working. It's working. And I think we're done. Yeah. Coming up. There's only. This is going to be a normal, a full run of 48 here. Interesting. Some old spare tanks. There's the 8. That's not the 8L. That is the 4L. A lot of weird intermediate signals here in Paoli. Still there. I mean, the Paoli's been chopped down, but a lot of that stuff's still there. Uh, 409, as you can see, just to point this out, is a cow-catchered Reading, and there's a compromised coupler too. The whole story behind the 400 series, on Wikipedia there used to be a guide, but someone removed it because it wasn't sourced, which was, I didn't get a chance to copy it. When SEPTA was removing the PCBs from the transformers in sometime in the 80s, their plan was to renumber everything into like the 400 series. So normally it was like I told you, it was like Reading was like 101 to 188 to 180. The PR stuff started around 200, went up to the late 300s. And then you were into and then SEPTA was going to renumber everything into the 400s. And then they stopped. And then they started mixing and matching things all over the place. So now it's just like a total shit show. But here in 2005, you could still tell easily what was a Reading car because they had cow catchers. I didn't know that for a while. Then I went back through all my photos, and it's like, how did I miss that? Here's the ALP 44 number 2308. This was the last for many years. This was the last operating ALP 44 in North America. I mean the NJT ones are still around, but I don't think they're gonna get. Honestly, Caltrain, instead of buying their goddamn MUs, they should have just bought those ALP 44s, reconditioned them, and then just used their existing rolling stock. They could have saved a ton of money. Those electrics have 20 years easily left on them. So that's the Paoli 21 switch. That end of the platform, that you can see right there with the airline switch, that's where the old yard lead was. And it was immediately into hand throw land. And you can tell this is obviously, again, taken from Paoli Tower. And we're coming down to the home stretch here. Actually, I think I've already renamed a bunch of these. They were in last week's doohickey. So I only have like a few. Sorry, I guess I only have 3 left. So it's not that long. Sorry about that. Yeah, I did those last week, or a couple weeks ago. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna reverse that. Wait, what did I just do? Oh, I renamed it by accident. Derp. Okay. Delete that. Rename that. And then switch the name around. There we go. And then this, so if I have multiple similar photos, and it's like I'll usually try to put one with the tower and one with the locomotive. So this is clearly locomotive focused. So I'm going to utilize this. I'll rename this as a locomotive focused image. 2308. And I think I only have 2 left. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so these switches are still there, but the through tracks have been cut to make way for the incredibly short-sighted Paoli Island platform, which permanently bottlenecks the main line at 2 tracks at this location. They likely could have... I'm not sure what... It had a bunch of bad options. Like, you kind of want things accessible. So maybe they could have done like a 3-track configuration. Or found a way to put an island platform down the way a little bit. So anyway, I gotta rename this. Good thing I have, it's good. It's still a good resource that we have these pictures. So here we have Paoli. Oh, make sure that didn't screw anything up. We good? It's something when like I hit like the I don't know. It's something when I think when I accidentally hit the like show desktop. 21 and 19. And that signal. That's the 12 RA, and the 17 switches in the mix too. Okay, so 21 and 19. RA plus 17 East plus SEPTA 28. There we go. This one still seems like it's tilted over. I gotta fix that. That looks a little bit better. Let's see what we have in the last photo. Oh yeah, this is just a three-car Keystone train set at Thorn at night, and someone's improperly using a flash again. Note it's diesel. For a large part of the 2000s, the catenary was turned off. For most of the past, like Parksburg. Oh, other fun facts before I forget them. This is a great time to have it. I'm pretty sure maybe even to this day, although it's not quite to this day. That's 191. Back in the day, and to even this day, so Park Tower, as I mentioned last week, was open as needed. So it was not so in theory, a SEPTA train, for whatever reason, might not be unable to turn around at Thorndale. There could be a malfunction or some problem. So the next place that a SEPTA train could turn around was Lancaster. So crews had to be qualified all the way out to Lancaster, Cork Tower. Qualified just pretty much means you run it once. That's very, very, very typical. Like, you have to study it. There's all rules examiners who do the training, but almost always you have to at least go out there once. So depending on who was not qualified out to Cork, there was a specific train of the day that on Amtrak timetables was scheduled to go out to Cork. It was the Cork train. This is in Lancaster, all the way in Lancaster, milepost 67. And it was just, most days it was annulled, but every so often it wasn't. This is just like with the Acelas. That I've never seen someone who ever has the picture of it, though, because again, this is something that you wouldn't see it today. But it was something that happened occasionally enough, but I've never seen anyone who got a picture of it. I was in the position, I could have been in a position to if I lived nearby and had a car or whatever, to have gotten the warning from my friend and then like driven out there. But imagine getting that picture of the SEPTA Silverliner 4 at Lehman Place or Irishtown Road or anywhere out there. Today they have to qualify out to Park, the new Park, again for the same reason. If there's a problem at Thorn, the operator has a heart attack, something's on they want them. Amtrak wants SEPTA trains to be able to go out to the next crossover in case of emergency. So crews have to go out to the new Park. So I think that's the same thing. I've never seen anyone catch one crossing the Coatesville Bridge at Parksburg Station because it happens very spur of the moment. The other places happens is the Bacon train. And SEPTA crews who go down the Newark-Wilmington line have to be qualified all the way to Bacon, which is the next interlocking beyond Davis. Now, this is what it used to be. I haven't confirmed that this still happens in the last number of years. Like, it could have changed in the last 4 or 5 years. But I always had a desire to go and try to catch the Bacon train. It's a specific train. It's usually midday, once a week. And it's infrequently done, but it can be done with little or no warning. And that's why no one ever has these pictures. You have to sort of be in the right place at the exact right time to catch these trains. So for SEPTA, there was the Cork train and the Bacon train. And it's at least feasible to catch the Bacon train. The best place probably would be it going through Elkton. So there's your little trivia of SEPTA's weird qualification runs. Again, with the flash. Whatever. I'll get all these up at an appropriate time. Let's see if we have any questions. Oh, did it go black again? Okay, whatever. Well, for the longest time, it wasn't turned off so people wouldn't steal the wire. That's the easiest thing to have people not do the wire. But when they were doing all the rebuild stuff, the catenary was turned off for a bunch of years. In the years 2005, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish, it was off because they could do the work and not have to deal with like catenary, like protecting the crews. They didn't want people to know that it was off because then they'd try to steal the wire. For the longest time, the Westchester branch was electrified still, so people wouldn't steal the wire. But they turned, that was all with the reconstruction. It was turned off. It was specific. Like my friend told me, oh, they finally turned the wire off. So, okay. That's it. We've been going on for a little over an hour here. Thank you very much for watching. Any questions on cow catchers, SEPTA qualification trains, propulsion packages? Got a lot to cover. Going forward, I'm going to be doing a bunch of... I'm not sure what's going to be happening in the... look for me back. Let's look at the schedule here. I'm not going to be around next weekend. I might. It looks. I'm looking. It's likely that the next time I'll be back is going to be Tuesday, the 20 or Monday evening, 24th to 25th. So I'll see how that goes. Hopefully I won't be back before then. That's going to imply another medical emergency that I'm back for. But it's likely that my next thing is going to be the 24th to 25th. I'm going to do a three night stand. What it is, I'm not sure. So we will see. Let me just check what's going on in the schedule. Yeah, I don't know. I'm likely not going to be back on that weekend of the 22nd, but just there's a small chance. Regardless, I'll be back on the weekend of the sometime 21st, 22nd. That night, so okay. I'm gonna roll. Thank you very much. I will see you at that time. My next, in this weekend, I am taking or not this weekend. This is this weekend. But next weekend, I'm gonna be taking a trip out to Phoenix. Hope to get some pictures around the Tucson Amtrak station. That's gonna be my content goal for the trip. But I will see you around. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. And I should have plenty more content. And I'll figure out what I'm doing for that 3 nights. I have some Kinwood line stuff that I can do. That's definitely going to be one of them. Probably going to be one whole night on the Kinwood line pictures. I'm likely going to need to do some renaming of a few extra Thorn Tower photos. That's going to be in there. And I'll figure out anything else I have that I need to do that week. I might do another rename. I have a whole bunch of photos, the film photos for my Chicago trip, and other things. So those might also come in for a batch rename session, just so that they're searchable. All right, see ya. Heading out later. Good, stay safe.